The peaceful existence which he had known for years had gone. An army of oversized crabs and a beautiful woman had shattered it all for him.
This is I Don't Even Own a Television. Killer Crabs.
1, 2, 3. There are books that are good. There are books that are bad. There's some books so fucking awful you wish you never had read them at all. 'Cause a novel can ruin your life. Hey buddy, I don't even own a television.
That's right. It's I Don't Even Own a Television, a podcast about bad books, and we're going back. We're going back to the well.
Getting back in the deep water, friends.
Some of you may be relatively new listeners and wonder why we frequently sign off the show with Ride the Crab, and it all comes back to the series that sprang fully formed, like the goddess Athena, I would think, from the brain of a British gentleman named Guy N. Smith.
Champion pipe smoker, if memory serves.
Yes, that's correct. And his book, Night of the Crabs. And it turns out there's like 8 of these.
Yes.
And we've been putting it off for a long time, but we've finally returned to the Crab series for installment 2.
Or have the crabs returned to us?
A little bit of both, but we'll hear more about that later. But we're here to talk about Killer Crabs. Surprisingly not spelled with 2 Ks. I'm a little disappointed about that, but what can you do?
Yeah, I'm pleased with it. The only killer followed by a K that I have room for in my personal life is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. A movie that's not as good as it should be, but will still kind of fuck you up if you're in the wrong headspace.
And I'm a big fan of Killer Kowalski, professional wrestler from the past.
And pre-Blue Oyster Cult group, Stalk Forest group, lyric appearer.
Oh, really?
Killer Kowalski. Yep.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll send you an MP3.
Ooh. Are you going to Napster it over to me?
Heck yes.
I'm J.W. Friedman.
I was going to say, we keep saying we, but who is we anyway?
Well, we is, I don't know. Normally we do this in the theme of the book, but I think you'll discover the theme of the book would make this very awkward to give ourselves nickname. Fuck it. I'm J.W. Middle-aged fuck machine Friedman.
And I'm Chris. I can't tell if I hope you are or aren't noticing the bulge at the front of my trousers collision.
And, Killer Crabs. I remembered the first book of these to be mostly about an invasion of giant crabs into Wales, if I'm correct.
That's Wales the country, not Wales the kind of animal.
Yeah, a good point. That's a really good distinction to make. I don't remember it being... I mean, there were some sex scenes, for sure. This book, on the other hand, is probably the horniest thing we've read in, 2 years? 3 years?
This is some real Scruples hours level of horned up.
And it's not just your normal horned up. It's, middle-aged and higher horned up.
Yeah.
So, kind of imagine you're watching a PBS show, but everyone keeps getting naked and, having really explicit sex in multiple positions in front of you.
This book would be even better than it is if it were narrated by Richard Attenborough. Note the great white hunter is having difficulty maintaining an erection.
Look, is that a killer crab? No, wait, it's another couple in their 50s having sex in a hotel. Because, there's so much of that. This book is so fucking horny. It's crazy.
It is a little bit more like a almost straight pornographic novel with some giant crab material spliced in.
I thought you were just going to say some giant crab meat, and I was like, I could go for that right now.
I was not expecting that at all. I, too, had a vision in my head of, what we're going to get? We're going to get wall-to-wall crab action, and that's not quite what we get. There is crab action to be had in this book. Don't get me wrong.
There's also crabs fucking in this book.
Also true. But there is much, much more just... And then, left to her own devices, Catherine Dubrunner masturbated.
Yeah.
Thinking about the sex she had, but also too more thinking about the sex she was going to have.
Yes, very true.
That's not quite a quote, but it's pretty close. Before we go any farther on this, so it's obvious that we've got a little bit of a content warning situation going on here, but there are 2 actual serious content warnings. One of those scenes involving Mamselle du Brunner is an old-fashioned and very unwelcome kind of scene you used to see a lot, where a woman is saying no,
but meaning yes.
Or is she? It doesn't matter, because either way, the man doesn't stop. And I personally have zero interest in reading that. Absolutely can't recommend it. So that is not something we're going to be talking about in the course of this episode. But if you decide, hey, this book sounds like a romp, maybe I want to read it, you probably need to know that's there.
I definitely thought of it as a no means yes scene, and I did not like it. And I think we're in agreement there.
Yeah, and there's also a couple of, I would just say, unpleasant portrayals of Japanese fishermen.
And a lot of a particular racial slur for Japanese people.
Yeah,
that was real popular in say like the World War II era.
Yeah, and it's kind of Godzilla movie level stereotyping.
Everyone's got glasses and a lab coat.
Yeah, but I didn't care for it, and I suspect many of the people listening to this also will not care for it. So again, we're not going to talk about these things, but you need to know that those are there if you decide to read the book.
Good. Yeah, good point. And it's good to warn people about it, because I had kind of forgotten about both of those things and shoved them to the back of my memory and replaced them instead from scenes with giant crabs and people getting it on consensually.
Is this the kind of book, you might ask, that has any redeeming features? And then we would probably say something like, do you think crabs executing plans with military precision and taking down not just... So in the first book, we had tank battalions unable to stop the crabs. And the only thing that could save humanity was, and I swear to God, I'm not making this up, weed killer sprayed from helicopters.
Yep.
In this book, of course, you have to escalate. Like, nobody wants to read a book where giant crabs are less of a threat than they were 4 years previous.
Yeah, of course not.
So does this book have a scene where crabs execute a military precision level plan to take down a naval destroyer?
Yes, it does.
Oh, hell yes, it does.
And, I want to say, you talked about escalation. I think that's the thing that surprised me the most, is that I knew there was going to be escalation of crab.
Yeah.
What I wasn't expecting is there's 2 or 3, if I remember correctly, relatively chaste sex scenes in the first book. I was not expecting the escalation on that front. And I cannot repeat this enough. This book has so much fucking in it, it's basically reading porn.
And it is right up to the line of just something you would find on what a friend of mine taught me to call a website for gentlemen.
Yes.
This is not what Garth Marenghi would call dewy petals.
Yeah,
levels of euphemistic writing.
No, not at all. Not at all. If you're looking for what's the word I'm looking for here? Sexy writing about sex. You're coming to the wrong place. If you want to read about people,
right? You're coming to the wrong place. Don't come to this podcast for that. Read Killer Crabs.
No, don't. Unless you want to read, phrases about like, he grunted as he thrusted mightily and stuff.
This is one small step sideways, like a crab would step. You'll get that later.
Yeah.
From the kind of book that you might buy at a room that you have to go down a hallway to get to at a truck stop.
Yeah, exactly. The kind with like the little beaded curtain.
Yes,
says,
sir.
No one under 18 allowed.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Let's, before we go any further, I guess, we've kind of talked about most of it, but let's just go ahead and stick to form here and do what we like to do, a plot in 60 seconds. So here is that theme.
Nobody knows if you finish or not. You got 60 seconds to give them a plot in 60 seconds.
So, Collision.
Yes.
In 60 seconds or less, are you ready to describe the plot of Killer Crabs?
I really think I am.
Okay, begin.
The place Barbecue Bay, Hayman Island, near the Great Barrier Reef, at the Royal Hayman Hotel. He-Man fisherman and guide Clint, maybe Klein, but there's no E, washed up on these shores some years back, and he's a He-Man who don't take shit from nobody, or suffer fools gladly, especially when his mind isn't on fishing or guiding, but is instead in sheets, with the turbo sexies extra having with sexpot millionaire Caroline DuBrunner, who is as beautiful as a model and likes to have sexy sex, and will even do it alone if she has to, while thinking about manly he-men like great wild game hunter Harvey Logan, who unfortunately sexually fails her. It may be 1978, but he is no Harvey Wallbanger. Certainly no Harvey Backwall banger.
Oh, Jesus
because he's too busy
Christ.
thinking about his guns. But then,
disqualification.
but then she hooks up with scarred Captain Monton, who's actually a bank robber holding cash, and now Logan and Clint want his cash and Caroline's time. And then, you're not gonna fucking believe this, but giant crabs show up and just absolutely fucking wreck shop. Until Davenport pops in from the first book and thinks of the one thing seafood fears most.
Butter sauce?
Tightly packed rice and cream cheese. No, I'm just kidding. It's fire. So they burn down an entire island to kill the giant crabs, except explicitly they fail to kill the biggest one. The end.
I mean, and this book literally does. We've said it before, we'll say it again. This book has an end, but not an ending.
Right.
Yeah. Like, literally, it's like one of the last sentences in this is, the crab wandered back into the water.
Yeah.
The end. But at least everyone got their rocks off, except for Homeboy, who couldn't get it up.
Yeah, and I didn't spell out do all the truly morally compromised characters die because,
Yeah.
of course they do.
Pretty much everybody, except for like our three clean-cut heroes and a bunch of kind of side characters die.
I mean, that's the thing, man. None of the heroes are truly clean-cut.
What's his name from the first book?
I mean, okay, so
Davenport.
Davenport
He's pretty spotless.
Yeah, he's just there to kind of move the plot along and be the guy who occasionally says things like, now it's time to get rid of these crabs so I can call my wife.
I mean, it's made explicitly clear, too. You said he's there to move the plot along.
Yeah.
This is very true because it's made explicitly clear about 40% into this book when the crabs attack a hotel. And our main character's response is to take a break from fucking for a few minutes and then fuck in different pairings.
Oh,
We're going to say
hell
fuck
yeah.
a lot in this episode, by the way. Just warning you.
I'm not going to stop.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't ever want to stop.
No, I'm never I'll say fuck all the time. I love to cuss.
Is that why it says I love to cuss on your t-shirt?
It actually says Southside Serpents because I've been bitten by the Riverdale bug. But you know who loves to cuss? Members of a fictional motorcycle gang that's run by Jughead Jones and his dad.
Stop.
But yeah, you're gonna hear the F word a lot in this book because there's not a lot of love making. There's not even a lot of what I would call sex. There's a lot of fucking.
Fucking.
Yep. With no G. That's a straight apostrophe fucking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The G gets dropped faster than trow, my friend.
It's true. Are there people in this book having sex with just their trowels dropped? You know there is.
The carapace of the crabs is harder than the wood every man in this book wakes up with every time a man in this book is described as waking up. Ooh, boy.
Let's talk about the prose real fast because otherwise we'll both do this for a low point. And
This thing's got prose in all the sexy area codes.
I was just thinking area codes. I was hoping you were going to say that. The way this book is written now, I forgot. I think the first book was pretty clumsy as well.
What?
But this book contains amazing phrases like describing the island that we're on. What's it called? Barbecue Bay on Hayman Island? Is
Hayman
that
Island. I'm surprised you had trouble remembering
Oh,
that.
yeah. I'm sorry, sir. I had trouble remembering Hayman Island. It's described as, quote unquote, a squat, lumpy island, which made me laugh very hard.
Wow, island shaming. Is there no depth to which the crabs and Guy and Smith will not will not sink.
Also, just a paragraph I really liked. It'll get a mention, Corder said, and hoped that Klin would not pursue the matter. Right now, all that concerned the reporter was crabs. Giant ones.
Yes.
Yeah. The first time the word giant crabs appeared in this book, I have a note that just says in all caps, yes, with about a zillion yeses.
I know for a fact you fist pumped quietly to yourself, startling the cat, because I did the exact same thing.
Yeah, it was, yes, because I'm a serpent. But anyway, yeah, it's got lots of lines like that. She certainly had stamina when it came to sex.
Oh my God. Yeah. Everything is incredibly like that. I mean, like, no ordinary crustacean could make a noise of such magnitude. Might be the greatest sentence I've read in months. And I've actually been reading more than usual the last couple of months. Like, wow, no ordinary crustacean. Like, no typical crab, no average lobster, no regular crayfish, no normal shrimp, no familiar prawn, no standard krill, no run-of-the-mill woodlice, no basic barnacles, no average crustacean.
Familiar prawn is great. I have a prawn familiar. Whenever I'm doing magic, it just makes me real curled up. And
he's kind of perching on your shoulder. Yeah. That's adorable.
Yeah, it's pretty cute. He wears a top hat. Sometimes he sings, "Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
Hello, my ragtime girl." Yeah, I know we talk a little bit too much about these shirts, but I have a prawn familiar. If you were standing in line behind somebody and that was on their shirt, you would have to engage them in crabversation.
Yeah, definitely. Back off, God. I've read The Golden Compass, and I have a prawn familiar.
Oh, no.
We're going to get email.
Yeah,
okay.
we're going to get letters from the Pullman fanatics.
I just shook the tree like Steve Miller in The Joker. The classic song, not the horrible movie that just came out.
I thought the books were fine, but when it comes to the movie, you could just call me a golden grump ass.
Yeah, the movies were awful.
I actually kind of liked it. I was just going for a very bad joke.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't like the movie, but I do like the books, actually. I mean, it's about teenagers killing God. That's pretty cool.
It is, and has some of the more authentic angst teen that's not just about sex, but is also about true, deep existential angst. I was like, I read them, at 35. It was like, wow, this really rings true to me as a 14-year-old.
It definitely captures the angst of a young one, much in the way of, say, a Final Fantasy VIII.
I wouldn't know. I don't have a lot of time for children's media.
No. All right, you want to move on to high points, low points?
Let's move sideways to high points and low points and see if we can extract some of the delicious meat therefrom.
With butter sauce and garlic. Yeah.
I meant with our giant claws.
Oh, see, I was thinking of with one of those little metal pickers and maybe some horseradish.
See, this is important. You see yourself as a person eating crab. I see myself as a giant crab fucking up a seaside resort town.
Yeah, I guess this is the difference between vegans and meat eaters. Or vegetarians, I'm sorry. I just can't put myself into your shoes, man. If I saw a giant crab, all I could think of is, man, that's a lot of dinner.
Audience, your next drawing prompt has been issued, I think.
Yeah, perhaps it's true. Giant crab lesion.
Please.
And me with a bib being very small. Holding a nutcracker and one of those little crab forks.
I actually cannot tell you how much I both do and do not want to see a drawing like that.
I want to see it. Make it happen. All right, so here's high points, low points. Here's a song.
High points are high, and low points are low. High points, low points, get ready to go.
All right, Collision, I'm going to let you go first here because I know we're both dying to get to our highest of high points when it comes to killer crabs. So why don't you pinch us off a little bit of that glory?
I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but I cannot tell you how pleasing I found it that this book was not mostly about giant crabs, but was in fact mostly about sexity sex. Because as a grown-up myself, I've put aside childish things like crab violence and have embraced manly things, grown-up things, adult things. For example, adult content.
Yeah.
Like sexity sex. So the fact that this book had so much sexity sex in it really made me happy.
Yeah. Okay. I could see you there. For me, I'm going to go real broad here. My favorite by a long shot, high point in this book is just the character of Clint, who we described earlier. He lives on the island. He's a guide. He does a lot of fishing. He also shoots rifles at intruding boats for reasons that are vaguely described, and I'm mostly racist.
Yeah, he doesn't like poaching, so what does he do in roughly chapter 2?
Shoots at a Japanese boat.
And what effect does that pot shot have?
They shoot back at him a bunch and hit him in the knee.
Right, but what happens first?
I don't remember.
Does he cold-bloodedly murder a dude?
Oh, yeah, he does. He murders a dude.
Yes, he extremely does.
But the reason I like Captain Clint is because the way he talks and the way he's described in this, like, essentially, if you picture, like, let's say you were to strand Yosemite Sam in the Australian outback for a couple years.
Yes.
It's totally Yosemite Sam. He says things like, crap, Clint spat over the small side of the small boat. Bullshit and bollocks.
Bullshit and bollocks. Okay, I'm so glad you said that, because also Clint's backstory is he washed up on these shores because a boat he was on from America crashed. Now,
America, where we say bollocks all the time.
Now, boats coming from a place can carry things and people from different places. I get that. This is not a plot hole. This is not me going to IMDb for books and being like, goofs include crabs are rarely 16 feet wide.
Seems like a real screw up on the part of Mr. Smith here.
Yeah.
But yeah, bullshit and bollocks struck me as pretty funny.
And then like a page later, he's yelling at somebody and he's like, if anyone threatens my livelihood quarter, they get killed. A lot of other folks around here feel that way too. So put that in your bleeding paper, he said Americanly.
Because he's basically a cartoon pirate, but he's a cartoon pirate that's played by Yosemite Sam, which I love. And he also has one of my favorite moments in the book where he gets very mad because he's out hunting poachers. And while he's hunting poachers, he starts thinking about the sex he had the night before with Catherine de Brunner, and he gets what we would politely call an erection. And it's greeted with this. He cursed as he suddenly became aware of a hardness and a protrusion in the front of his shorts. And I just love the idea of this bearded man shouting at his own boner.
Yeah. So I don't think we're going to do a full segment on this. We're not going to do a full cast the movie on this, but true or false, in your brain, Clint was played by Brock Sampson.
Ooh, that's a close one because, see, I was going more like reality with it.
Okay.
And Jeff Fahey.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because he's got that scruffy beard.
Yeah.
He's real good at playing, kind of hateful characters, I guess.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so I was definitely, in my mind, he was like a short Yosemite Sam-sized Jeff Fahey with 6 shooters for some reason.
Now, if I were not able to cast an actual cartoon Swedish murder machine as this character, I would definitely, I think Jeff Fahey is real close to right, but I want 1982-ish John Michael Vincent. Can I read one more thing about our hero Clint?
Yeah.
This is how he's introduced to us. The lithe body, clad only in tattered khaki shorts and sandals, moved with the agility of a 25-year-old athlete. Yet the features, particularly the eyes, had a greater maturity, like those of a man bordering on 40. That's right, ladies. The maturity of a man who's nearly 40.
I'd like to point out right now, both of your hosts of this podcast are not only bordering on 40, but long past it.
Yeah.
And as you can tell,
Hurtling past 40.
we are bastions of maturity.
Pee-pee poo-poo, my friends.
Sexy sex.
Sexity sex. Yeah. Okay, so, I mean, we've gotten super duper high. Perhaps it's time we plunged to the depths where the very crabs lurk.
Under the sea. Little steel drum music for you there. And a vaguely racist crab. All right. Doing it Disney style.
Who lurks outside pineapples under the sea? Giant, scary crabs.
Ooh, that would be the best mashup ever. No, I was thinking more of Sebastian, Little Mermaid action.
I don't have a lot of time for commercial media, so I haven't seen. I
don't even own a television.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I was too busy listening to Revelation comps.
I've never seen The Little Mermaid either. I've just played Kingdom Hearts, which may actually be worse.
What the fuck is going on?
That may actually be worse now that I think about it. Anyway, low points. Give us a low point. Other than the fact that I know beloved Disney characters only from a really shitty RPG.
Yeah, other than the fact that you just said that and we're having this conversation right now.
I mentioned Final Fantasy VIII earlier, too. I'm like really outing myself as a super nerd.
Yeah, so this is too much, and I get that, but I really did not like having to spend 200 and some odd pages in the company of a guy who takes an idle pot shot at poachers because he's super racially angry at poachers, and it kills a guy, and I'm supposed to be rooting for this guy for the entire book. Like, I don't ask that the heroes never make mistakes. I do. Maybe it's just me, friends. Cold-blooded murder, kind of a deal breaker.
Especially, and strong Liam Neeson interview vibes. Like, just
that never happened, and we're not talking about it. La 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 la.
Yeah, there's just a lot of I have been wronged by X, and I want to kill people from X, and
Let's just say that when you're that angry at somebody for poaching, I start to think that maybe economic anxiety is not your number one concern.
Well, especially when you're a dude who proudly lives in a shack and claims that fucking material possessions mean nothing to you.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So, yeah, I mean, again, this is a book about giant crabs wrecking shop at a super fictional 1978 ultra disco beach resort. I don't expect 100% morality to be happening all the time, but I just don't want to spend my time around protagonists like that.
I agree 100%. I was about to say disagree just accidentally, and that would have been very strange. Like, no, my favorite characters in books are horrible racists.
Call me Clint.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Clint. I like Colonel Kurtz. I'm into all of them. All of them. Yeah, so for me, I think my big low point is there's a moment in this book where they just literally recap the events of the first book.
Yeah, especially because this is a book called Killer Crabs. It's got a giant, scary crab on the cover. I think you can trust this book to stand on its own.
Yeah,
I really do.
You don't need callbacks like this.
No.
It might have come from hell itself, he grunted. Geez, what a size. It must be twice as big as that one we've been carving up. Professor? Yes, Davenport's mouth was dry, and that's what worries me most. Those Welsh crabs had a gigantic leader. We nicknamed it King Crab. In the final battle, we showered it with paraquat, and it could barely make it back to the sea. I swear it was a goner. But that monster we're just seeing, it's the living image of it. I'd even go as far to say that its evil features are identical.
Yeah.
But it can't be unless ... incoming plot twist.
Yeah.
Unless the original big bastard wasn't a male at all. It's the only logical solution. A queen crab. Just like a hive of bees has a queen. When one dies, another takes its place. Now, hold up. This in no way explains why the crab's evil features are identical to the one they killed.
Because it's the same crab.
Oh, he is saying it's the same crab.
It's the same crab.
I thought he was saying it was a different female crab that had assumed the role of queen.
No, what he's saying is who we... this actually is my high point.
Oh, he's saying they killed the king.
This is the... No, you gotta...
Okay, I'm not thinking hard enough about killer crabs.
You are not thinking hard enough about killer crabs. You need to run back, I don't believe he says we killed King Crab. I don't think we ever see the body. I think what Davenport is saying, and I have a chart. May I have the first slide, please?
Yes. Oh, wait, no, that's my vacation.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, that's something I sent my research assistant.
Oops, that's my vacation to the nudist colony.
Yeah.
Next, there we go.
That appears to be a early 2000s meme. No, sorry. I believe what Davenport is saying is the fearsome crab that I know as King Crab, I have seen again this day. We did not kill King Crab. King Crab escaped, but the only way that there could be more crabs now and King Crab is if King Crab was Queen Crab all along.
I still don't get it. Like, how does that lend itself to...
The idea is they killed all the other crabs. How could there be more big crabs?
Oh, I forgot they killed all of the ones except for the single big one.
Right.
Okay, I see. And so then she went off spawning.
Jay, do we have to have the conversation about where crabs come from?
What happens when two crabs really love each other?
It's real scary. You don't want to see it.
And it's described in detail in this book.
It doesn't.
Which, by the way, this completely contradicts your point, but I don't think that that's intentional. I think it's just dude kind of forgot.
No, I think the idea is Queen Crab had to have been pregnant at the end of the first book.
But it says
laid a clutch
specifically
later
in the book that they don't spawn their eggs unless they're accompanied by a male.
Oh, there might have been... Okay,
now I'm going to IMDb.
There's only 3 possibilities here, as I see it. We've got something wrong, which doesn't sound plausible to me.
No way. I was obviously paying a great deal of attention while reading this, and definitely not drinking bourbon.
Okay, so possibility 1 can go fuck itself.
Yeah.
Possibility 2, there's the slightest bit of a plot hole somewhere between... Book 1, Night of the Crabs, and Book 2, Killer Crabs by Guy N. Smith. Or possibility 3, either Guy N. Smith or we could misunderstand something about the way crab reproduction worked. And frankly, I have to be honest with you, none of those 3 things sound at all even remotely plausible to me.
You know, I'm going to say that it's probably 2 or 3. And I think, the fact that I care about this is fucking annoying because I absolutely should not care about a minor plot hole between episodes, I guess we'll say.
Right.
Installments of the Crab series. Because these books are, by and large, the pulpiest of pulp. I believe sitting here trying to poke holes in the logic of them makes me one of the geekiest people on Earth, even geekier than when I was talking about Kingdom Hearts a while ago.
First off, I believe you mean the crab oeuvre.
Oh, yeah, that's true. The crab cycle.
Yeah, the crab cycle. Oh, God, that reminds me of that weird... inexplicable meme about the crab cycle. There is only one step, and it is crab. Anyway, okay.
I've never seen it, but I don't know. To me, it sounds like a lost Stravinsky piece or something.
So low points apparently include us trying to understand the mechanics of the plot of these books. I believe we each owe another low point. Would you like to go first?
Yeah. Let's talk about how unsexy the sex in this book is.
Well, I don't have anything to say about that.
This is the way. This is a little bit of pillow talk that happens in one scene after Captain Manton. Now, we haven't talked about Captain Manton too much yet.
Nearly enough.
Now, he is a pirate with a big dick. But
those are two. Also, he's got I think a scarred face.
And he's also got a secret identity. And I can't remember the name of his secret identity.
It's like Dick Burke.
Yeah, Dick Burton like or something like that.
Yeah.
But he carries Frank Burke, maybe? Or maybe that's the Punisher. But he carries around a fucking metal suitcase filled with 20,000 pounds worth of currency.
How the fuck did you do that?
What?
It is Frank Burke.
I don't know.
I just looked it up.
It came to me at the middle of the night.
Also worth knowing, this is 20,000 English banknote pounds. He's not some kind of Iron Man, Incredible Hulk figure.
Carrying around 20,000 literal pounds in weight.
Right.
Yeah, no.
He's not carrying 10 tons.
in a 2-ton box. She studied the outline of his body, sheer muscle, 15 stone of it, and not an ounce of surplus flesh. I really like that, by the way. That's definitely how I judge people. No extra skin on that one.
Thank God.
Captain Manton, Jerry, she murmured, when once she could trust herself to speak. You are a superb lover. And you, Caroline, he replied, are a nympho. They both laughed. The book is filled with this shit, and it's just like, there's so much of like, I can't describe it again. It's kind of like what you imagine your grandparents having sex would be like, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Wow, my grandpa was a dickhead.
He noticed that she was trembling. Her housecoat had fallen open, and he had a full view of her body. The small, firm breasts and the whiteness of the insides of her thighs. He almost relented, but then he remembered that time when they had lain and watched helplessly as the crabs had mutilated and devoured Bartholomew, the beachcomber. He would never forget the expression on her face. Her mind had almost snapped. Mercifully, it hadn't. He wasn't going to risk it again. I forgot where that went. I thought he was just going to talk about his naked wife some more, but
I think it went back to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also love that the most fabulous amount anybody can possibly wrap their heads around is the 20,000 pounds that he's got. Now, this is 20,1978 pounds, but that's actually maybe a minor high point for me, is how kind of amiably low stakes the criminal masterminding and the three-way tussle for that particular satchel happens to be. So I thought that was kind of fun. It has like a kind of dank, grimy, B-movie quality that I found pretty appealing. There's
an attempt to inject some like espionage into the latter half of this book for sure. And yeah, it works at sometimes. Geez, I know what my last high point is, but I feel like we're skimming over huge parts of this book that we'll need to backfill.
I still owe a low point.
Okay.
My big low point that I haven't talked about yet is Harvey Logan, the Great White Hunter.
Oh, yeah. I do like the fact that he's described as looking like the singer from the Spin Doctors.
Is that what he's described looking like?
Yeah, it says that he had medium blonde tousled hair and a long goatee.
I think you're not wrong, but I think he's described as perhaps a bit wider and burlier than that gentleman. Also, I don't believe any mention of a floppity hat.
That's true. Yeah,
appeared in this book.
Maybe more grown-up Skeet Ulrich.
So I really think what we're talking about here is like Brian Dennehy gets jacked. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
Gets on the gas.
Who inexplicably I used to get mixed up with Mr. Belvedere all the time.
Same guy.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's actually true that Mr. Belvedere did not sit on his own balls.
I was just going to ask.
Brian Dennehy sat on Mr. Belvedere's balls.
That's the same guy?
No.
Oh, okay.
Extremely not the same guy.
Okay, I was like, how did that happen?
Our time with him, like I will say, I enjoy the fact that a savage, great white hunter who only wants to go into nature and kill animals is explicitly described over and over again as a coward and a sexual failure. Like, I
Yeah, he's the dude who can't get it up.
I enjoyed that. Well, he can't get it up. Doesn't appear to know where he's supposed to put it when it does
That's
get
true.
up.
Yeah, when he finally does achieve, let's say, how to put this?
A half hard,
yeah,
if
a
you
half
will.
hard. Yeah, a semi chub.
A hand touches it, and it goes. I mean, look.
All right, yeah, let's just get explicit.
Happens to everybody.
Yeah.
We've all been there,
But
and it sucks, but
Let's get explicit here. He tries to fuck her belly button.
that's very true. And
she has to kind of show him where to put it.
and I don't think it quite happens.
Yeah.
Because I think trying to guide him gently to the corrector location
Causes the thing that happens to all guys
Yeah.
sometimes, quote unquote.
Again, we've all been there. Solidarity. Many apologies. Penetration is not the be all and end all of sexual encounters. However,
For this dude, it definitely is.
well, right, because
Yeah.
he sullenly and red-faced pulls his clothes on and leaves. But we spend so much time with him, and he spends so much time trying and failing to kill a giant crab because he's really proud of his big gun.
Yeah, but not the one in his pants.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
Jay gets it. He just explained it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much, it's almost like this big gun he has. It's like he's making up for something else, right?
I believe there is a sentence to that exact effect in the book. But he spends so much time trying and failing to kill crabs. He spends so much time, like, we even find out that many of the trophies on his wall, he didn't even kill them. He just took credit for them, and he's such a coward. And then when he kills Catherine or Caroline, I can't now remember, Dubrunner, with a rock at the end. Again, it's just like,
horrible.
why am I reading this? Like, why am I spending time with this? Like, it's like if Flop Sweat could be a killer.
Yeah. You also missed the part where a crab dies as the result of a missile cartoonishly ricocheting off a rock and hitting it in its glowing weak spot, which is about like a 6-foot area under its chin. And then he spends the rest of the time on the island trying to take credit for killing it,
Right.
while everyone, except for him, knows that he's full of shit and is wandering around. I mean, he knows too, but they're all wandering around going, yeah, no way Logan killed that. A missile killed it. Look, there's a missile hole in it. His fucking gun didn't do anything.
There's a missile inside of it. It didn't go off. It just moved its organs around, then it died.
Yeah. Also, I looked up the gun that he mentions, and it can only be described as an elephant gun.
Oh, I think it's explicitly an elephant. It's like a 500 caliber.
Yeah, it's fucking giant.
Right.
It's cartoonishly giant, like many things in this book.
Yeah. So anyway, Harvey Logan, up yours, dude. I do not respect you at all, even though I bet that you have a bunch of Filson clothes and bags. You probably have like that 24-hour tin cloth satchel that I really want.
This is a dude.
But
who
anyway,
has
you're a jerk.
He has a portable ashtray for sure.
Oh God, yeah.
Last high point. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna come out and say it. Both of my high points have been about Clint. So I mean, this one will be too. Clint's refractory period is incredibly admirable.
You could not find that thing with a powerful microscope.
No, you couldn't. And it's explicitly said there's no woman that's ever seen him spent, quote unquote, I highlighted. Because when Clint's done, he's ready for more.
Yep.
And that's why the ladies love him, even though it kind of seems like he should smell pretty bad, like an oyster or something. And he doesn't not really described as, very clean or well kempt. But the ladies love Clint because Clint can get it on and on till the break of dawn. And then after.
May I read a tweet?
Yes.
I read this on the internet the other day, and it gave me pause. What nobody wants to admit is that the guys with only a PlayStation and a mattress on the floor have extremely powerful dick.
I read that tweet as well. It made me laugh really hard. Then I read the replies, and they made me very sad.
So I guess what we're talking about is Big Clin energy.
Big Clint energy. Yeah, he's got BKE, which I previously would have referred to as the Burger King experience, but now I've got a whole new name for it.
Please do not ever refer to the Burger King experience unless you're talking about the time you once got busy in a Burger King bathroom.
Well, I do like my oatmeal lumpy, so... Do you remember when that song was on the radio, they edited out Burger King?
Oh, yeah.
I always thought for my entire life that he said motherfucking bathroom until I finally heard the uncensored version. And I was like, you cowards edited out Burger King bathroom?
Can I tell you why in my high school we believed they did that?
Because the Burger King would know because he was a regular?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because BK would encourage gang activity.
But it's Digital Underground, dude.
That was the rumor at my high school.
It's rap's version of They Might Be Giants.
We knew, as we know that night follows day, anything with the initials BK or CK was going to result in blood in the streets, as though suburban Denver was being overrun with giant crabs, which, as we all know, is lunacy.
Yeah.
Because there's no water. They would dry out. They don't like that.
And also, to me, I just assumed that it started being edited in a local context because perhaps Shock G, a.k.a. Humpty Hump, was a regular at a particular Burger King. And he wanted to make sure that they didn't know he had fucked in the bathroom.
Let's return to the text.
Yeah.
He doesn't say, I regularly
That's true.
got busy in a Burger King bathroom.
It says he did it once.
He says, I once got busy.
When it comes to getting busy in a Burger King bathroom, my friend...
I got to think once is enough.
Exactly. You don't go back for seconds. Like, hey, babe, you know what we're going to have tonight? The Burger King experience.
Sweetheart, I was just thinking, it's...
Remember that time?
It's our 45-day anniversary, so I was thinking maybe we could, put on the thong song and...
We've just renewed our vows and our love is just as fresh as the day I've ever met you. I was thinking maybe we could go and get busy in the Burger King bathroom. Oh, all right. Let's hear it for killing his never-ending hard-on. Clint, sorry.
You got what I need. A willingness to have sex with me.
In a Burger King bathroom, baby. All right. Anyway.
So big ups. The early 90s with Chris and Jay.
Big ups to Clint and his never-ending hard-on. Let's move on to your final high point.
I just got to say that while there could be more of them, the... crab on human violence displayed in this book is capital T, capital G, capital S, the good shit.
I have a feeling it'll focus, both of our dramatic readings will probably focus quite heavily on that.
Nope, mine will be the sexity sex.
Oh, God, I already know which one it's going to be, and I'm fucking dreading it. Okay, well, mine will focus heavily on that.
But yeah, while there could have been more of it, as I said... There's a little bit of subtlety here. It's not just pure gore, but there's actually a really nice tension, escalation. There's actual subtlety to some of the sickening giant crab kills human scenes that I didn't expect. And I'm not going to lie, I found myself genuinely unsettled a couple times reading some of this shit.
The crabs in this book have started to develop distinct personalities, which I think is... Part 3 is called The Origin of the Crabs. I think you're going to learn a lot more of them. But my favorite part is, you mentioned earlier, they sink a naval destroyer.
Yeah.
After they sink a naval destroyer comes this sentence. The leader of the crabs turned towards the destroyer, pincers aloft in a last gesture of triumph and arrogance.
Yeah.
Which is some straight up G.I. Joe villain shit.
Wait, so you're saying that the crab is also a jerk?
Come on! The crab's shaking its fist.
Yeah.
I love it.
But it's shaking its fist in victory.
Yeah.
I mean, Cobra Commander did not get to do that
That's
often.
true. It's a taunt. It's
exactly.
It is. It's a taunt. It's like a schoolyard bully.
It's quite literally if you will, adding insult to injury.
But crab style. Okay, so before we go to break, I do think we need to kind of tie up the narrative here because we haven't talked about how this book ends, and I think that's really important.
I mean, I think, okay, a bunch of guys crash a helicopter on... Well, they don't crash a helicopter on an island.
I mean, this could be fast.
Okay, so our heroes, Clint... Davenport and some cannon fodder.
Yeah, unknown military guy. I forget his name.
Go on a helicopter ride to look for the spawning ground of the giant crabs. They find a mangrove-covered island, find that that's where the giant crabs are, but then, while they're exploring the island, the crabs fuck up their helicopter.
Yep, so now they're stuck.
Their radio. So now they're stuck. Davenport thinks, what if we just roast the crabs? We have an old-fashioned crab bake. A real low country boil situation.
This is when Archie and the gang show up, by the way, and Annette Funicello.
Yeah. So they set the island on fire, and it consumes all the stuff except the people, because the crabs are, for reasons that I can't remember, clustered at the center of the conveniently ring-shaped
Because
island.
that's how they spawn. It's described that the females can only spawn eggs when there's a male perched on their back for some reason. I don't know if this is true about crabs or not. I don't know if this is true about crabs or not, but apparently they're too slow because they're two crabs stacked on top of each other. They can't get away fast enough.
Right.
The people can kind of run around. And it's not just that they set the island on fire. They create a perimeter of little fires and then haul ass running around lighting these individual fires until it closes in.
They divided the island into 3 parts.
It's very video game.
Made a plan to burn it down. My bad.
I think it's worth mentioning because it totally reminded me of a Resident Evil trap or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so they kill all of the crabs except
Queen Crab.
Queen Crab, who goes back into the ocean once again. The end.
Actually, okay, supplemental final sneaky high point. One chapter has 2 big twists in it. And one is we're not quite as sure about it as we were when I wrote it down, but that king crab is a queen crab.
Whoa.
That actually really did it for me, especially because it came hard on the heels of discovering that Catherine or Caroline, I can't remember, I probably wrote it down wrong, Dubrunner, the jet-setting, globe-trotting socialite millionaire who everyone knows from the papers because she's always getting divorced. Am I right?
It's the 70s.
She's actually a former model who just happens to look like that rich girl and is a grifter, like the hipster grifter, or like Anna Devilney or whatever the heck her name was.
Anna Delvey was her assumed name.
Yeah.
I think her real name was Anna Sorokin or something like that.
But it's like 2 big twists in one little chapter, and I was like, hey, he's not phoning it in at all.
It does actually go a little ways towards redeeming the way her character is written, because we haven't mentioned this, she barely ever leaves her hotel room. All she does is have sex with various men who come calling on her.
Right.
And now that you know she's kind of living the life of somebody who she's not, but vaguely resembles, it does make a little more sense that she might just sit around scheming and fucking, and not really going out and enjoying all of the magic that Hayman Island has to offer.
Right.
Like, say, a Hell in a Cell match. or a bunch of idiots throwing chairs.
Anyway, the Avs are 2-0, and I got real mad on the way over here because I couldn't find the feed of the game to listen to on Bart, and then realized, the game isn't for 2 days.
Look, I'm sorry, Mr. Collision. I'm very sorry that you couldn't find your hockey game.
Let's go to break.
Okay, we're back. That was a really long first segment. I feel like I've been having sex with Clint.
You must be spent, but you know who isn't?
Clint.
That's correct.
No one had ever seen him spent. So we're going to talk about the most virile segment in podcasting history. Let's start out our games here with a little dramatic reading.
Dramatic readings. We're gonna make it sound recorded. Dramatic readings. Yeah, I got some words for you.
Why was that so off-putting? I don't know, but something about it really, something about it I did not like.
I mean, you don't like it when I compare parts of our show to a weird island fucking dwelling racist's penis.
It is a little bit weird, but like, I'm just gonna say it. I'm okay with several forms of male sexuality, like more okay than most people, I think. And still, that was a little squicky for me.
I think it's probably the way I said virile.
It's not making the hairs on the back of my neck.
Ladies. All right, slide into those DMs. All right, so would you like to go first or should I?
So I'd like to go first and then last.
Oh, yeah, you got dose.
I have two tiny slivers of crab extravaganza.
Okay. Once again, sounds like a special dish at Red Lobster.
Yeah.
Like, come in this November for crab extravaganza. We put crab on top of more crab, and then we took all of that and we dumped it on top of some polenta for some reason. You're going to hate it, but you'll keep coming back. Red Lobster.
We had crab on top of crab, and now that you've read this book, you won't stop being able to think about, are they mating?
Yeah, you'll be looking for the row coming out of the back of... All right, anyway.
Cool, is that Spawn?
Which is also what I say every time I walk through the toy aisle at Walmart.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Or see a really black and green cape. Anywho, okay, here's my dramatic reading, the first. She stepped forward and slipped her hand into his. Her eyes were misty, but she smiled bravely. The crabs are back. We both knew it would happen sometime. Don't worry, Cliff. I know you don't want me along because I'd be in the way. But for God's sake, darling, don't get too close to them. He lowered his head until their lips met, lightly at first, then crushed together in fierce passion. Damn the crabs. His voice was husky when they disengaged. We'll have to put paid to them once and for all, Pat, if they're going to keep dragging me away from you like this. Still, we do owe them something. If it hadn't been for them, we would never have met in the first place, now would we? They both laughed, and then went upstairs to make love.
Crushed lips disengaging is definitely a sexy thought.
Yeah, disengage is one of the sexiest words, I think.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I mean, as it's well known by now, we're aficionados of Transformer porn. And disengage is a word that seems like it would come up a lot in that.
Let's disengage from this topic and hear what your dramatic reading is.
Here's some crab action. A circle of white light bathed the monstrous wreckers as they turned in an orderly fashion towards the tide. The destroyer had crept silently into the bay as far as it dared without the risk of running aground. The naval commander surveyed the crustaceans from a distance of some 300 yards. The area was devoid of human life. He gave the order to fire. The battery of 6-inch guns responded immediately, their flashes and thunderous belchings of death more violent than any tropical storm. The aim of the gunners allowed for a considerable margin of error, for the beach was closely packed with the invaders, and it would have been an unlucky shell which had plowed harmlessly into the powdery sand. The bombardment left its mark. One crab actually rolled over, stunned for a few seconds, then righted itself. Its shell was chipped, but not cracked. Splinters fell from several others, and for a moment panic almost took over. It was their leader who restored order in the ranks, which threatened to break and scurry aimlessly, anywhere to be away from that blinding white light and the heavy messengers of destruction which whined ashore. The monster reared up, pincers aloft, a gesture of defiance to the attackers. A missile struck him, but he scarcely faltered. Waving pincers, a half circle that was the order to return to the sea. The crabs were reforming into V's, shuffling with trained precision, now heedless of the continual gunfire from the warship. Direct hits went unnoticed as they hurried to obey the awesome monster who ruled over them, the only one for whom they showed any respect in the oceans of the world, all except one crab. This creature had been outside the circle of blinding light when the fire had begun, yet, by a chance in a million, a turn of fate that is as inexplicable as its own existence, the crab had received a mortal wound. It was no direct hit, but a ricochet off that crustacean which had been momentarily felled. The missile had glanced off this latter creature and embarked upon a course which took it between several more until at last it found its mark, burying itself in this unlucky crustacean, entering below the face and lodging in the flesh. The crab dropped and laid still, dazed by something which was totally foreign to it. Pain.
Wow.
So that literally, I didn't realize it the first time, that literally describes a missile bouncing off like 6 crabs before finally hitting home, and I love that. It's so like Atari 2600.
I believe there's only one sound effect that could possibly do it justice, and it would be something like pew, 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 pew. Wow. So I think the only thing that could possibly match an action scene that action-packed.
Oh, God. No. I already know which sex scene it's going to be, too.
Oh, I don't know if you do.
I think I do, because it's going to be the most repulsive one. Fuck. Well, yep, here we go. What's the fucking?
As he rang off, Shannon came back from the radio. It's the crabs. He was visibly trembling. The submarine picked him off, loosed off a couple of torpedoes but didn't score a hit. Big bunch of them heading into the bay. They're already ashore. Cliff Davenport took 3 rifles from the rack and passed 1 each to Clint and Quarter. Not that these are much good, but I suppose they're better than nothing. Come on, let's use the Jeep and take a look-see. I've told the captain of the Marines to organize a retreat of both armed forces and civilians. Surrender property. We don't have any damn chance. Hell, I never expected anything like this to happen in between full moons. Come on, let's go. With Shannon at the wheel, the Jeep roared out onto the beach road. The attack was as perfectly coordinated as any military maneuver in the history of warfare. The creatures came in on the tide, cloaked by darkness, whereas, under a full moon, they would certainly have been seen by the Marine sentry before they reached the fine, dry sand of the Royal Hayman Hotel beach. They advanced in a series of V formations, each following close on the other, as do wild geese in flight, a huge crab, almost half as large again as any of the others in the lead. An army of behemoths came from the depths converging upon the hotel, as though this fine building was a prearranged target. Click, 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 clickety-click. Their military intelligence, second to none, neither man nor beast, had no way of overcoming the noise made by those tremendous pincers as they moved. This was the only warning which the 2 sentries instructed to patrol the perimeter of the hotel had of the impending attack. Click, click, clickety-click. The sound was intensified by the hills at the rear, a noise that heralded death as surely as had the clicking of knitting needles below the guillotines during the French Revolution.
Click, click.
No sooner had the first shots echoed out across the bay than a dozen more Marines came tumbling out of the foyer where they had bedded down for the night less than an hour before. A sergeant remained behind to telephone the Shark Patrol and to radio the destroyer. But already, it seemed that the defensive action was too late. A hail of bullets neither harmed nor deterred the attackers, bouncing off like hailstones on slate roofs. Caroline Dubrunner was at the very peak of her second stupendous orgasm of the night.
I knew we were going to get to this.
When the firing broke out, this time she shrieked her delight aloud and was kicking and windmilling wildly with her legs when Frank Burke drew back with a suddenness which took her by surprise, his perfectly timed ejaculation still spurting onto her legs. "Gunfire!" he grunted.
Cool. I'm glad that you read the cum shot. Thank you.
And it goes on like that for several pages.
Okay, I thought you were going to do the chapter that begins with doggy style.
I mean, I could.
Let's not, and say we did. Let's move along here. Oh, God. It's like, I don't know why. This stuff doesn't bother me in books normally. It doesn't bother me in movies normally. It doesn't.
But when I'm sitting across from you making heavy eye contact while reading this, somehow that bothers
even
you?
while reading this, it's because I imagined everybody in this book as like an unattractive human in their like late 50s, which is on me for sure. And I just like... So
to me, Captain Marston, Frank Burke, that's pretty much your Quint from Jaws character.
Oh, I mean, he literally is like, we're going to need more boats or something like that. It's pre-Jaws, but he's cut from the same cloth.
And Caroline, I realize now I did have it wrong. I'm sorry, I've called her Catherine repeatedly. That's on me. That's your... I don't know. Heather Locklear.
See, I was thinking like late period Kim Novak. Like post-crisis Kim Novak, maybe.
Or, I mean, in more sort of modern times.
But actually, and now I'm kind of turned on, so never mind.
Unexpected. Should we play another game?
Yeah, let's play another game. Maybe it can involve Kim Novak again?
Sure.
All right, cool. So let's move on to what is your fave?
What is your fave? What is your fave? When you're presented with a list of options, what is your fave?
So we've talked a lot about the pros in this book. We've talked a lot about the cons of this book. Again, you'll get that one later. One thing that I think is underrated about Guy N. Smith is that he will occasionally just drop a statement or opinion that I, for one, did not expect. So, Jay, what is your favorite opinion or statement that Guy N. Smith just sort of like typed and it made it through to the ebook we enjoyed to this day?
Do you have a list?
I mean, I have a couple, but I thought you might have a couple that weren't on my list.
I mean...
I'm just going to read my two very favorites.
Okay, you read your two very favorites, and then I'll tell you my favorite.
Only two things I know change a man like that. One's the moon. The other's a woman. Because that implies strongly to me...
That there's werewolves?
That this is, in the world of the Crabs series, there are also werewolves.
Well, I'll have you know, Guy N. Smith.
Yeah.
As I like to call him, not Guy N. Smith, but Guy N. Smith.
Guy N. Smith, yeah.
He, after the Crab series, wrote a couple werewolf novels.
Okay, least surprising fact ever, but if giant mutated killer crabs exist and werewolves exist...
Who would win in a fight?
Number one, but number two, does this not logically imply the possibility of...
a werecrab.
A werecrab.
Ooh, I like.
So,
Sci-fi.
again...
Sci-Fi Network.
Get at us.
Yeah, your Sharknado shit's gone on for too long. It's time for werecrab, and we're just the men to do it.
Exactly. And then possibly the greatest sentence I've ever read: mangrove swamps were not conducive to erotic fantasies.
Oh, yeah, they stink. They smell real bad.
Hey, bro, that's on you.
I'm from Florida. I've smelled some. They're not good.
You know what? Humpty once got busy in a Burger King bathroom.
All right, good
Do
point.
not tell me about smells.
Good point.
That's what they call a full circler, kids.
Bringing it back. For me,
I know somebody who once committed an act of self-love on a moving Greyhound bus.
Oh, my God. That's horrible. And on that note... My favorite statement here, once again, I don't know why, I just keep coming back to Clint. There's a lot of mysteries that might be due to the presence of these crabs in the ocean, Clint mused. Ships that go missing without a trace and are never heard of again? The Bermuda Triangle, for instance.
Yes!
So, yes, folks, we now have a theory. The Bermuda Triangle is caused by giant crabs.
And like the entire 70s collapses into that sentence in a really delightful way. So, yes, Clint, Guy Smith, Jay, I agree. The reason ships were going down almost had to be giant crabs. Anything else would be just silly to consider.
100%. So we're running late, but I think we have time for one more game here. So let's do a Russian roulette. Here's a song.
Russian roulette, Russian roulette, Russian roulette, not actually Russian.
Now, we don't always do this, and that's honestly because we don't always get to do this. I know, we've probably said this out loud. We probably shouldn't have. This should be like our secret. But the mark of a great IDEOTVPod book is the ability to Russian roulette it.
It's true. If Russian roulette is on the show, you know that we've got a winner on our hands.
And
or in our pincers, as it were.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody shoves more pages into our pincers than Guy and Smith. So, do you want to flip through first, or shall I?
I'll start out with the flipping.
Okay. Flippity flip, stop.
Clint remained on the beach until midday, but by that time there was still no sign of the missing vigilante boats. Finally, he stood up, scanned the bay yet again with his binoculars, and began to retrace his steps back in the direction of the lodges which nestled amongst the swaying palms. He walked past his own house for several hundred yards, keeping parallel with the beach until he came in sight of a squat, one-story whitewashed building set back from the others. A wooden board on the half-open door had the words, "Shark Patrol," emblazoned across it in bold red lettering.
I am the motherfucking Shark Patrol, motherfucker.
One of my favorite Devo songs.
Shark Patrol, Mr. Crab today? I don't know.
Yeah. Some of you will get that.
All right. I am ready to get... Oh, my God. Jack, I'm going to get so random right now.
Oh, LOL. LOL. Let's do a TikTok about it.
Oh.
All right, start flipping.
Flippity flip.
Stop.
Okay. Oh, my God. There are several words in here that I'm not sure have appeared in any other sentence other than this one.
And this isn't even a Lovecraft book, so there you go.
Yeah. A submarine waited at the mouth of the bay, the crew hoping to atone for that earlier torpedo miss. The giant crab leader finally dragged itself up onto that first-floor balcony. After that, it was only a formality to smash the large French windows and enter the building. Doorways presented no obstacle. It enlarged them by sheer brute force amidst falling girders and bricks. Floors and ceilings shuddered beneath its progress. Yet it was not bent solely on a quest of destruction. Those eyes peered inside rooms, and sometimes it did not even take the trouble to force an entrance. It was hunting for human victims. It sensed that not all of the occupants might not have fled. I put one extra knot in there, and I'm very sorry. Its search of the first floor proved fruitless. Eventually, it arrived at the wide staircase leading up to the second. The heavy woodwork creaked beneath its weight as it began the ascent. It did not hurry. The shooting from below was spasmodic now.
Ooh, spasmodic.
Once again, the giant crabs had proved their supremacy over mankind. This was only the beginning.
Room service, called the crab.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that the crab goes into the hotel.
Oh yeah, the crab goes all up into the hotel.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
I wish he had a little bellhop cap on.
Because you know what? Fuck hotels.
You know what?
No, I kid. I love hotels.
While you were reading that, it made me think, like, what do you think H.P. Lovecraft would have thought had he lived long enough to read Guy N. Smith's Night of the Crabs? I mean, other than the racist things.
Oh.
I mean, do you think Do you think this sort of undersea terror would have been up his alley, or is it perhaps not Stygian and unknowable enough?
That's the thing. So I once read a criticism of Lovecraft that says he doesn't ever scare you. He just tells you what he's doing is scaring you.
That's a good point.
And that really stuck with me as a diagnosis. I don't know if that's entirely fair. I've definitely...
It depends on which story, but I think for a large portion of his body of work, that's very true.
Say it right.
His oov. his dude sex mockingjay.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm on the fence about that because I genuinely think that when it comes to, say... a crab stalking and methodically and systematically removing limbs from a Japanese commercial fishing captain.
They're Japanese, so right. Lovecraft would be like on board.
No, so he would have loved that, but I just think that there is a legitimate escalation of tension and horror in some of that.
Yeah.
That I don't know if old Howard Phillip...
You don't think he could take it, right?
I think he could take it. I think he just would have kind of been gnawing on it. Like when you're biting your own hand because somebody did something that you like to do, but they did it way better.
See, yeah, that's probably true. I was thinking he probably would have gotten scared and bailed. I mean...
Oh, no way. No way. There's enough here to keep him going. And he definitely would have been like... I think he might have actually fainted when it came to the sexy sex parts.
That's a really good point. Yeah, like the crab stuff probably wouldn't have bothered him, but the fainting he would have definitely caught the sex he would have caught the vapors.
There is no way he could have stayed upright through that.
I believe there's even talk of a man with dark facial hair having sex with a blonde woman.
And she likes it.
It's the true horror at Innsmouth.
Yeah. So, anyway.
I was just curious because I was just imagining Lovecraft reading this being like, No, you idiot. You can't show the crab.
Right. That's a really good one.
You have to describe the crab.
It can't just be a crab. It has to be a unknowable thing that's possibly a metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like from the backs of the depths of their mind, they saw pictures and images that they weren't quite sure, but remained burned into their retinas forever. These images of the elder gods and their pincers and tendrils swaying forth from the ocean left their indelible mark upon them for generations to come.
So, yeah, I actually think you've just cracked it for me, I think. Cracked it like the carapace of a monstrous crab. I think, number one, the origin of this probably has a little bit to do with Guyan Smith flipping through H.P. Lovecraft and being like...
and going, get to the fucking point, jackass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Number one, get to the scary part. And then number two, getting to that thing and saying, oh, you know what's kind of scary is our prehistoric ancestors being menaced by some giant sea creature. But you know what would be way scarier is my neighbor who is a colossal dickhead, and his name is Harvey Logan. And so I'm going to present him as a sexual failure and sadist, and then I'm going to write a scene about him getting eaten by a giant crab. Yes, that's the business. And by the way, while I do this, I'm going to be listening to my favorite band, Iron Maiden. Up the irons.
Is he an Iron Maiden fan?
He is a huge Iron Maiden fan.
I like to imagine him flipping through a Lovecraft anthology going like, cool, if you're going to talk about a giant squid, fucking show the giant squid, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's what this book has done to us, kids.
But yeah, dude, now that I know the Maiden thing, this book was definitely written like to the tune of Power Slave, or fucking Aces High was on when this was being written for sure.
There is one, I believe, explicit Iron Maiden joke in this, and I am now going to inaugurate our first contest in a long time. If you choose to read this book, and you email us at idontevenownatelevision@gmail.com and identify correctly what I think is the legitimate Iron Maiden reference / joke in this book, I will send you one of our koozies.
Cool. Well,
and you don't have to be the first one.
Yeah, just any of them.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling it'll be a select few because I can't even think of what it is.
Is it going to take me a while to get to it? Yes.
But you'll get it.
But you will get it.
We move slow, but we get results, like crabs. It's hard walking sideways all the way down to the post office.
Hard out here for a pincer.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll be back right after this, so please stick around. We've set ablaze to crabs. We've sprayed them with paraquat. I don't know there's much else we can do until Queen Crab emerges from the sea again to terrorize us all.
You check back in 2 years when we get to book 3 and crack, wink, the mystery of, is the third super weapon just a really giant cracker?
I think it's just going to be a whole lot of jizz, judging by this one.
Whoa!
Sorry, just being real. Just being real.
That is not a weapon, my friend.
If we keep going down the path that these two books have taken us down, by the next one, who knows? Crabs will be fucking humans. It'll be crazy.
Wait, why is book 3 called Skeet, Skeet, Skeet? To the windows, to the walls, while the crabs hang from my... You know what? Let's move to recommendations.
Not only venom and spite, sometimes with sweetness and light, and we always end the episode by telling you about a thing we like. Recommendations.
Okay, so recommendations. These are things that we liked. Would you like to go first?
Yeah.
And which is to say, first of all, please heed our content warnings at the beginning, but I did find this book entertaining. I think if you can get past those issues, you will find it entertaining too. So I would say that this is probably a recommendation from me as far as a silly book to read.
For sure. So my recommendation is going to be a little different than normal. I'm just going to recommend a book my friend wrote that just came out. My friend's name is Flynn Coleman. The book's name is A Human Algorithm. It is a piece of nonfiction. It is about the difficulties and challenges posed by AI in our current state.
Sounds timely.
Yeah. So I recommend A Human Algorithm by Flynn Coleman.
Okay. It's Halloween month, so I think I'm going to go with a spooker.
Oh, actually, sorry, one more thing. If you are very local and you happen to hear this right when it comes out, she will be doing a reading at Book Passage here in the Bay. Just Google it. You will find it. Or use some other search engine. I don't recommend you use Hotbot. I don't think it works anymore.
Alta Vista,
Vista, I think, is down. Weirdly, I can't, ask Jeeves. Jeeves ain't saying shit to me anymore.
And if you want to go to the dog pile, oh man, it's going to be depressing.
I don't even know what that is, but I will say proudly, I was a Hotbot man back in the day. I am not a Bing person, but was in a meeting recently where somebody was like, why did you send me a Bing link?
Binging it.
And yeah, exactly. And somebody said, that was interesting. And somebody said, as a response, don't judge me. Anywho, so yeah, I will see you there if you happen to come to that. And we will both see my friend Flynn.
All right, so it's Halloween month. I'm gonna recommend some spooky books.
Are you going to get spoopy?
I am. I'm going to get incredibly spoopy, but before I do, I just want to say this book that I'm recommending is definitely not for everyone. It is one of the scariest books I've ever read. Probably should contain a content warning for just about everything awful that can happen in a horror book that is non-sexual. You have home invasion. You have children in peril. You have brutal scenes of gore. And quite a few other disturbing things. So I would say this is only for people who are very into scary books.
Little House on the Deadly.
No, but not here. You're closer than you think. It's by Paul Tremblay, who is a very, very good writer, and it's called The Cabin at the End of the World. I really enjoyed it. It scared me so much I couldn't sleep for the entire night afterwards.
Jesus
and
Christ.
What's amazing about it is it came with an afterword, and I did not know any of this going into it, where he describes a lot of his inspirations for the book chapter by chapter, and then at the end has a big thank you to Neil Fallon from the band Clutch.
What?
For providing him inspiration in a long conversation they had, because apparently he based this book on the lyrics to a mishmash of several Clutch songs, which may explain why I love it so much.
It's the most J book of all time.
No, I mean, it scared me that happened because this book profoundly, terrorized me to the core. And then I got to the end and read it. This book was inspired by Clutch, and I was like, this book was written solely to freak me out.
Yeah, so this is definitely one of those Truman Show moments,
Yeah.
where you're just like, the simulation is breaking down. It's
I know.
all aimed straight at me, man.
I expected to look up and see Paul Tremblay and Neil Fallon playing some blues guitar in my living room or something. But
or one of your posters just with a face on it kind of leans out from the frame and winks at you.
yeah, but yeah, I will say, like I said before, there's no sexual terror in this, but there's every other kind of extreme terror, and it's not for the faint of heart. So be careful, and especially if you're a parent, steel yourself when you read this book, because some horrible things happen to children. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay, moving along.
Damn. Okay, so another thing we like to do sometimes is read a lot of letters.
A, letter B, letter C, letter D, letter E, letter F, letter G, letter. Got a lot of letters.
Do we have a lot of letters this time?
We have a lot of letters this time, and it runs the gamut. I am, in fact, going to present you with 3 missives, if you will.
Whoa.
The first one is about a recent episode where there happened to be a little bit of loose talk about unidentified flying objects.
Oh, Ace Frehley?
Yeah. So as you can tell, I'm trying to keep it very 70s. And this is from Lizzie, fake last name. Dear Chris and Jay, I thought I would write in to offer an alternative explanation for at least some of the cities with top UFO sightings. People be dumb?
Or UFOs be real?
Whoa. My husband, also a fan of the show, is an aerospace engineer and as such has some familiarity with the industry. The places are all major traffic hubs. Most so-called UFO sightings are usually just airplanes doing weird things,
Yep.
especially at night. Las Vegas and Phoenix are both near very large Air Force bases. In fact, engineers and pilots commute every day from Las Vegas to an undisclosed location in Nevada. Google Janet Air. Seattle is the location of Boeing's headquarters and also their test strip. This would also explain Portland. Chicago O'Hare is one of the busiest airports in the world. Thanks so much for helping to keep my awful Bay Area commute bearable, Lizzie. You know, Lizzie,
That is fucking awesome, first of all. That is an awesome letter.
I hate to come down on you, but no, that's not the case.
Now, I just want to say I grew up in the same town as Patrick Air Force Base, Satellite Beach, Florida, and let me tell you, there were a ton of fucking UFO sightings there, too, that almost all turned out to be weird planes doing weird things.
I believe if you turn to the concordance of early Blink-182 before they fell off, you will find the following statement, which I defy you to contradict. UFOs are real. So, checkmate, UFO posers.
You've just been kicked in the brain by Tom DeLonge.
Boom.
I think that's how you say his last name. I don't know.
Who cares?
Yeah, not me. The dude from Alkaline Trio is a better singer anyway.
Do we want to do that book? Kind of.
But it's like 600 pages.
Is it way too long for us ever to do? We are the guys who took 2 episodes to get through the Insane Clown Posse book, so yep, probably too long for us.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so that was the keeping it 70s appropriate to the theme of the episode.
And I really, that's maybe one of my favorite letters we've ever gotten because it made all sorts of light bulbs pop up over my head. And school us more, people, about shit we actually care about instead of like, well, actually, the character's name in this particular movie was spelled this way and not that. No, I want to know more about why people think they see aliens. So write to us about that shit.
That's good, but let me say two things. One, I personally, myself, also, two, want to believe. So...
Okay.
Anywho, and two, yes, indeed, send us emails about why people see UFOs, and not necessarily so much emails about... maybe you should just stop doing plot in 60 seconds because Collision can't get it done. I got to be real honest. I will take those criticisms from the person who listens to the show, who is my girlfriend. Don't really need to hear it from anybody else.
It's called a fucking bit, people. Deal with it. Also, write us lots of letters about songs about UFOs. Excellent Husker Du song.
That is a very good song. If you know other songs about UFOs that are other than songs about UFOs by Husker Du, send us that. That sounds like a fun playlist that I would enjoy compiling. Anyway,
and songs by UFO do not count.
Songs by UFO definitely count.
But none of them are about UFOs.
Whether it's the early space rock incarnation or the later Michael Schenker hard rock incarnation.
I believe they were both Schenkers were in UFO, weren't they?
I think Rudy might have been in the early incarnation, but not in the later
They were both in the band at one point in time.
That's possible, but
I know it from guitar magazines.
I think you're thinking of the Scorpions.
Oh, shit, I think you're right. Oh, that's an embarrassing thing for a rock guy to make.
I mean, it's embarrassing for any grown person to be talking about the Scorpions under any circumstance.
But what if you just really want to go down to Gorky Park? And listen to the wind.
I don't know if I've said this on the air before.
Change.
I have cried more than one time listening to Still Loving You. So I have very little pride when it comes to the Scorpions.
I will say this about the Scorpions. There are very few bands in the world who have managed to record the exact same song twice and have a huge hit. And I dare everybody here to go and listen to the first, I'd say 30 seconds of both Rock You Like a Hurricane and There's No One Like You, because that is the same fucking song.
Well, AC/DC has been writing the same song.
No, but I mean, literally, the same chords, the same solo.
Right. It's called recycling. It's actually good for the planet, Jay.
Oh, okay.
Which makes the most...
And when either of them comes on, I'll turn them up, so...
Makes the most ecologically sound rock star of all time, George Thorogood.
Fuck that guy. Words cannot describe how much I despise fucking George Thorogood. And if you're at a bar and some idiot puts one bourbon, one scotch, one beer on the jukebox, punch him, because you're in for 8 minutes of torture.
I think that is right up there with the Ace of Spades tell. If somebody puts that on in a bar, don't punch them. If somebody puts either of those songs on in a bar, don't punch them. That's a cop.
Oh, good point.
You hear Ace of Spades in a bar? Cop.
Yeah, one bourbon, one scotch, one beer.
Cop.
That's a narc-ass song, too. That's the song where the guy's going to come up to you and nudge you and go, you know where I can find some jazz cigarettes.
And the problem with one bourbon, one scotch, and one beer is not only is that a cop, that is probably a cop in a Brian Bosworth movie. So shit is about to get... There's about to be a motorcycle crashed into a helicopter. Both are in the air. It's complicated. Stairs were involved. We have a very early bonus episode about it.
Let's take a long digression here.
Okay.
Because I just want to talk about my shameless love of Buffalo Wild Wings. This is not a sponsored tweet. But I love it because I can get hot wings and I can also get mozzarella sticks. Now, there was a popular meme going around the internet for a while that said mozzarella or ska is the music that an 8-year-old hears in his head when he's about to eat mozzarella sticks, which...
And you were like, 8-year-old? More like a 38-year-old.
Well, yeah, which is pretty true because ska is totally mozzarella stick music. Now, I recently discovered that the Buffalo Wild Wings near our City, down in Daly City, the suburbs.
So the one that's closest to stately Satellite Manor.
Yeah, it's attached to a mall, of course, but it has a jukebox, and that jukebox is one of the ones you can play songs from off the internet. So did I order some mozzarella sticks and load it up with 4 Mighty Mighty Bosstones songs? You bet I did. And I had an 8-year-old experience it all over again. It was wonderful.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you ask to see the specials?
Oh, you're fired. Next letter.
Okay, so that was a letter pertaining to the theme of the episode. This is a letter pertaining to the theme of the love we have for all of you and the community that we're trying to create here.
Okay. So we're a cult now?
Yes.
Awesome.
This is from Cassidy, fake last name. Hey there. Greetings from a sleep-deprived university student. I just wanted to write off a quick thank you. I found your podcast on accident about 6 months ago, and I'm so glad I did. It's gotten me through a bad breakup, a move, being denied a promotion, and the passing of a beloved dog, all in the last 3 months. I'm extremely grateful for what you do, and hope you're able to do it for as long as it makes you happy. Sorry that this may all sound a bit intense and or sappy, but I felt like you have helped so much, I may as well let you know. Best wishes, Cassidy, they, them.
Thank you, Cassidy. This podcast has helped get me through a couple of those things as well.
Yeah. I know it's a little heavy. I'm sorry. But yeah, we do this for a lot of different reasons. But one of the things that I think definitely keeps us both doing it is the knowledge that it doesn't just give us some structure and happiness.
Yeah.
But the hearing from people who let us know, hey, this actually like put a smile on my face during dark times, because as Rush has taught us, these are dark times.
It's true. And I mean, I think you don't have to go back in time too far to find me being very angry about the fact that our show wasn't as popular as it could be and really wishing we had bigger numbers. And I feel like I've kind of grown out of that because I've realized that the people who do listen to the show, for the vast majority of them, really it brings something to them other than just let's laugh at a stupid book. Yeah. And that to me is very important. And I think that's way more important than big numbers, which would be cool too. But at the end of the day, just kind of knowing that like our dumb jokes are helping people kind of get through hard times in their life, yeah, it makes me feel good. And that's why I got into comedy in general in the first place. And it's cool to actually know that it's working for some people. So yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Cassidy, for the letter. Yep. From the bottom of my heart.
Absolutely. And Jesus, that sounds like a seriously shitty 3 months. So hopefully the crabs will help.
Do what I do. I mean, that's 3 months of hell. Do what I do. Eat something you're not supposed to. Something you like that you're not supposed to eat because it's bad for you. Just watch some bad TV. Give a couple days to yourself. It's gonna take some time, but it'll all get better.
Yeah. And don't forget, if you're sleepy, try to get some sleep.
Yeah, definitely. Sleep helps.
Yeah.
So does the fact that I can now get Taco Bell delivered to my house. Once again, not a sponsored tweet.
And the third missive is not actually a missive, and it is from me to Jay.
Oh, goodness.
People who follow us on, the socials will know that we've had a lot of, complicated scheduling stuff and have had to move a lot of stuff around. And this is in part because work is a garbage processor in which we're all trapped, but in part because I also took a vacation and I went abroad. And in an extremely on-brand moment, I was wandering down a random street in Paris.
Ooh, in Paris.
Yeah. And I found the heavy metal record store in Paris.
Nice.
So, listener, I went in, and one of the things that I picked up was the following.
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, my God, dude. Oh, my gosh. It's a ghost coffee mug.
And it couldn't be a record because I mean, you can get a record anywhere, anytime, but you know what you can't get anywhere necessarily anytime is some extremely cool merchandise.
Oh man, it's a Papa Emeritus 1 ghost coffee mug. Dude, I am bringing this to work tomorrow and I'm going to scare the shit out of everyone I work with and I don't care. And thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I know like your schedule has been crazy and I am always more than willing to accommodate that when possible because I know that you're out there doing actual good in the world. Unlike me, I just type into a computer. So it's cool. And then sometimes you give me ghost coffee mugs, which makes it even cooler. So thank you.
That's right. My job, in case, there's some of you who don't know, I run a sex gym for millionaires.
Yes, exactly. And a place where, Elon Musk goes to get his blood transfusions from young virgins.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway. That all the way from Paris, France.
This is amazing because I almost
should make the coffee taste that much better.
I almost took a trip to Hot Topic at the mall solely to get a ghost bobblehead.
Ooh.
That I could put on my desk at work to freak people out. And now I don't have to because I have this coffee mug.
And now you can just do what I would do and get the ghost bobblehead and just carry it around in the breast pocket of your button-down shirt. Just always bobbing.
Always bobbing
out of that pocket.
Oh my God, this thing rules. This is way cooler than a Funko. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And you know what else is cooler than a Funko?
Most things, says the man who collects way too many Funkos.
Is sending us email, which you can do at idontevenownatelevision@gmail.com, telling your friends about us. But as we kind of hinted earlier, only tell your really cool friends about the show.
Yeah, fuck the losers, the lamers, and also the posers.
Right. And the squares? No squares.
Yeah, no time for squares.
If you would describe one of your friends as L7, give that a miss, unless you would describe your friends as members of the band L7.
Yeah, it's like members of L7 are totally cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they're just an L7, no dice.
Yeah. No, not at all. If you like what we do and you'd like us to do it more, better, and more easily and less stressfully.
More better.
Indeed.
Like the blues.
No, more, better.
I know, I got it. I just wanted to say Mo Better. Mo Better Blues.
You can donate to us on an ongoing basis, kind of like public radio, but
except
better.
Stupider.
Because we cuss so much more. Like, Kai Rizdal doesn't talk about hard fucking and giant crabs hardly ever.
Up next on This American Life, she was just a woman staying in a hotel, having all sorts of sex when giant crabs invaded. What would she do when it turned out her lover was actually a thief on the run?
Can Nina Totenberg tell you what happens when Buick-sized crabs are menacing the Great Barrier Reef? No. She can do a lot of things. She can't do that. Or, you know what? I don't want to sell her short. She hasn't yet done that. And we've done that at least once.
Yeah, Nina Totenberg could probably do pretty much anything. Can Terry Gross put up with Gene Simmons? She can, and I certainly couldn't.
That's all extremely true. But anyway, let's stop comparing ourselves to people who make way more money than we do for doing what we do. Yes, if you'd like to help us do our show more, if you'd like us to do our show better, you can pledge to us on an ongoing basis at patreon.com/IDEOTV. And if you do so, you get an extra episode every single month if you do it at the $5 a month level or more.
And that extra episode, we should say, is not just like a tossed off 15-minute, hey, what's up? Hey, I read something. Yep, that was cool. We pull out all the stops. Last month's extra episode was 2 hours long, which is, close, actually going to be longer than this.
I think it might have been our longest episode ever, actually.
Yeah. And usually, we'll read a magazine or a comic book, or we'll watch a movie, or talk about a narrative that isn't necessarily something that would make it to the normal show.
Yeah.
So it's a change of pace. It's kind of a chance to. It's a much looser format, so it's kind of a chance to hang with the boys. quote unquote.
Just really gets the crabs all over you.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. I wish I hadn't, if I'm honest.
I feel bad for the boys.
To say nothing of the crabs.
Little Alex Cameron joke there.
Anyway, we're also on Facebook. Search us. There's a Facebook group filled with like-minded people also crawling with crabs and pet pictures and opinions about books.
If you are ever going to join the group based on an episode, this is the one to do it because there is going to be some excitement about crabs happening right now.
My lord. It's going to be crabs in a bucket, only happy?
I was crabs in a bucket, fuck it, kick the can. Say what? Say what? I'm a bad, bad man.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Well, that was the scenario. Thank you for listening. And here we go, yo. Until next time, well, it's never been more appropriate, has it?
Oh, my God. Until next time, have hard, hot sex with the imposter?
Just ride the crab.